In the last episode, you could see me and my father arriving at the place called 𝐵𝐵𝐺𝐸, where we started our hike towards Folgefonna glacier and a secluded cabin called Sauabrehytta. We had an incredible start to the day. Witnessing a beautiful sunrise in 𝐿, we bathed in a lake called 𝐔𝐿𝐴, and we were moved by the sights of Folgefonna when we finally arrived at the top. Now we're pretty close to the cabin, and we look forward to a nice cup of coffee when we finally arrive. But first we have to trek through some beautiful landscape shaped by glaciers during the centuries.
Nå kan vi se brearmen. The glacier we're seeing right now has to be Sauabreen. And I think the cabin is just beyond that hill. There it is! The great secluded cabin right at the edge of Sauabreen, the glacier. What a sight! And then we're finally approaching the legendary cabin at the edge of the glacier, Sauabrehytta. What a sight. I think it's one of the most spectacular locations I've seen for a cabin. Just look at this. Right at the edge there. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. We have the entire cabin to ourselves. There are 4 beds, and the cabin itself is at 1081 meters above the ocean. And as we're approaching the cabin, bad clouds are approaching from my left. So this is perfect timing. We walked all the way up here in perfect sunlight and no fog whatsoever. That's brilliant. Really looking forward to see the cabin up close now and get some dinner. It's been spectacular. Whew, what a day! While hiking in the mountains, the lens that I used most for photography is by far the 100 to 300 millimeter. It allows me to get real close, and it allows me to exclude and include, because for me photography is almost more about excluding things than including things. Like you can get real close and just get rid of everything that doesn't have to be in the photograph, and a tele lens is the perfect tool for that job. I'm thinking about upgrading actually to the 100 to 400 millimeter pretty soon. I haven't done it yet, but I will at some point. I just need to do it, I suppose. Right now I got a really cool photograph of my father in front of the glacier with the Sauabrehytta at the side of him. I'm looking at the scene with 2 bits of the glacier, and there's this river of melting water going between them. I absolutely love it, and I would never have gotten those compositions without a long lens, so highly recommended. Nå kommer regnet.
Ja, vil bare si godt jobba. Det var litt av en etappe.
Det var en god etappe, men det gikk veldig fint.
Det gjorde det. Det var slag til tider, og så var det jo en fantastisk natur.
Det var så fint vær, og så tok vi jo god tid da.
Ja, vi tok oss veldig god tid.
Ja,
De fleste går opp her på rundt 4 timer, cirka. Vi brukte 10.
Nei, 8.
8?
Ja.
Men det var verdt det.
Det dobbelt av det når du lager film.
Det det vanlige. Nå, jeg vet ikke hva med deg, men jeg er sulten.
Ja, jeg er god.
Har du lyst på kebabgryta eller pasta bolognese? Du kan velge.
Pasta.
It's been a long day, a beautiful day, but a long one. It all started with that beautiful sunrise back in Etne on our drive up here, and that was a kick-ass start to the day, and since then it has just been one thing after another. It's been brilliant. I've actually, on my way up to Sauabrehytta, I filmed 128 gigabytes of material, and that's a lot. Many things have been happening, and the nature is just magnificent. When we were eating dinner, we saw this spectacular light down the valley here, and I photographed from the window, and it almost felt a bit like cheating, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Right now it's about 10 minutes to sunset, and from the looks of it, we're not gonna get any brilliant colors this evening, but we'll peek out the window now and again to see if we get clear skies, and maybe we can do some astrophotography with the glacier. If not, we'll speak tomorrow morning. We're going to get up for the sunrise, but the forecast is a pretty heavy fog, so I don't have my hopes up that much, but you never know up here. The weather changes in an instant, so it might be a cloud inversion for all I know, so I'm definitely going to get up. It's been a beautiful day, as I said, and we're quite knackered. We're just gonna photograph a bit while the light is still suitable, and we're gonna head back inside and just relax. If anything happens, I'll get back to you. If not, I'll speak to you tomorrow morning. Have a good night. morning everyone, and welcome to a beautiful day up here at Sauabrehytta. I slept really well last night, and when I peeked out the window this morning I could see that the glacier was not covered in fog, and that lit a spark in my heart, because that was what we feared might happen, that this whole scene right here would just be swallowed up in fog, and that would make the return trip a bit more exciting, to put it like that. But that hasn't happened, and that's very, very good. It's not often I can start my morning photography routine with coffee and food in my stomach. We've had a nice breakfast inside the hut and had some coffee as well, and now we're out trying to photograph what can be photographed in these conditions, because behind me you can see the sunrise, and that hasn't happened. But in the other direction, down the valley, we've had some beautiful storm clouds and some beautiful light. Right now I'm trying to photograph the glacier behind me. I think I found a composition I'm pretty satisfied with, and I'm using that green hill behind me to add a little color into the scene. And right behind it you can see Sauabreen. The glacier moves down, one of its arm moves down behind it. And this scene is kind of what I think about when I woke up this morning and I saw the glacier. I saw this grey, massive, majestic, ancient thing just lying there completely still. And I think it sums it up really nicely for me. I was just talking about the photograph I took behind her. Did you get any?
You can just turn around and you see something new.
We started photograph down the valley, and the light has been good down there all morning. But behind us, there was supposed to be a sunrise, but
yeah,
we got the beautiful, majestic glacier, so you cannot complain.
No.
But clouds are rolling in.
Yeah, I'm not worried, but I think we should start to head back to be quite sure that we get over the mountain before it can be some fog or something.
If there's going to be a fog, there will be fog at around 1,000 meters. So if we can get down to 700, maybe we will be all good.
And then we will stop there and make some food when we come a bit further down in the valley. Yeah?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Right now, you may be wondering why we decided to not go all the way down to the glacier in order to photograph it up close before we left the cabin. And there is actually a good reason for that choice. Before we started the hike, we checked the weather forecast, and that told us that this day would feature low cloud coverage and a thick fog. And because of this, we bought a GPS tracker and plotted our course up to the cabin in order to easily find our way back home through the fog. We also brought a map and a compass, but given that there is no path to follow up in these mountains, we wanted to make sure we could find our way back home with little to no problem. Make a bulletproof plan, so to speak. The only problem was that something happened during the night, and when we woke, the GPS was completely drained of power, and that was why we were quite relieved to discover that the fog was being delayed for a few hours. There was no time to lose, and we quickly started the return trip while we could still see the way ahead. We chose a different route on our way back down. Some change is always good, and I always enjoy picking a different route back home if the chance occurs. And the new route saved us some time, and we quickly found ourselves back down with the lake 𝐔𝐿𝐴, where we enjoyed the trip's last meal. We made some coffee and thanked each other for an amazing and eventful hike, and then we started planning our next trip. But that is another story. And with this, all that remains to be said is thank you so much for watching, and take care. Happy hiking.